Wait, I want to start with this scenario. I think it's going to feel really familiar for a lot of people listening right now.
Go for it.
It's Sunday night. You've had a decent weekend. Maybe you saw some friends, watched a movie. But then right around 7 p.m., that feeling hits.
Ah, yes. The Sunday scaries.
The Sunday scaries, the dread. You start thinking about Monday morning and your stomach just drops.
It's a very modern, very specific kind of anxiety, isn't it?
Mhm.
It's that friction between the life you're living and the life you feel you should be living.
All right. And the standard advice is always work harder. Just get the promotion, hit the savings goal, get that job title, and then the dread will vanish. We're told the cure is success.
But looking at the research we've pulled for today, that diagnosis seems, well, completely wrong.
It is wrong, isn't it?
It is. In fact, chasing those external things, money, status, it often just makes the dread worse. You're just running faster in a direction that doesn't actually fit you.
So what's the alternative?
Well, today, we're looking at a concept that basically flips that success first, happiness later model on its head. We are diving into Ikigai.
Okay, I have to stop you there for a second because I feel like Ikigai has been, chewed up by the internet recently. It's become this meme, right? A pretty Venn diagram on LinkedIn that basically says, do what you love and get paid $1 million for it. It feels a bit simplified.
I'm really glad you brought that up. That diagram is actually a westernized interpretation.
Oh, okay.
The concept of Ikigai in Japan is much older, much deeper, and frankly, it's more forgiving than the corporate version we see online.
So it's not just about finding a dream job.
Not at all. The word roughly translates to a reason to live, or, and I love this one, the happiness of always being busy.
The happiness of always being busy. I mean, that sounds kind of exhausting to me. I want the happiness of napping. Well, think of it less like to-do list busy and more like engaged busy. It's the difference between dragging yourself through a workday and getting so lost in a project that you forget to eat lunch.
Ah, that flow state. Okay, I get that.
Yeah.
So let's strip away the LinkedIn memes. The source material talks about 4 circles, right?
Oh, that's the framework. 4 overlapping circles. And Ikigai is what you find in the center where they all meet.
Okay, so circle number 1, what you love. This seems like the easiest one.
You'd think so, but it's tricky. People often confuse what I love with, say, passive consumption. You might love watching true crime documentaries, but that doesn't mean your Ikigai is to be a detective.
Right, so me loving pizza doesn't mean my purpose is to eat pizza.
Sadly, no. In this context, what you love is about active engagement. What's the activity that, when you're doing it, you feel most like yourself? What gives you energy instead of draining it?
It's about the doing, not the consuming. That's a huge distinction. Okay, let's move on. Circle 2. What you're good at. This is your skill stack.
Yeah.
And here we have to separate natural talent from just learned competence. A lot of people are good at spreadsheets because they've been forced to do them for 10 years.
Oh, that's a big one. I know so many people who are excellent at things they absolutely despise. They're basically trapped by their own competence.
That's the golden handcuffs trap.
I'm good at sales, so I guess I'm a salesperson forever.
Exactly. Just because you're good at it doesn't mean it serves your purpose. Ikigai asks, what are you good at that you also want to get better at? Where do your skills and your curiosity align?
Okay, so we have passion and skill. If you just have those two, you basically have a hobby. You're having fun, you're good at it, but maybe nobody cares.
Which brings us to circle 3, what the world needs.
This is the one that paralyzes people, I think. What the world needs sounds so massive. Like I have to solve climate change.
It does, but the Japanese philosophy is much more localized. The source has made a point of this. The world can just mean your neighborhood.
Or your family, or your team at work.
Precisely. Does your team need a mediator? Does your grandmother need someone to help with her garden? Need is about utility. It's about not being invisible. If you disappeared tomorrow, would something valuable be lost?
That's a heavy question.
It is. If you have passion and skill, but the world doesn't need it, you feel useless. You could be the best in the world at a video game no one plays anymore. You're happy, but you're isolated.
Yeah, that's a lonely place. Okay, circle 4, the controversial one, what you can be paid for.
Right. And purists will argue that true Ikigai doesn't require money, that you can find it in raising a family or volunteering.
Mm-hmm.
And that's true. But in the modern world we live in, economic viability is a pillar. Because if you have the first 3, you love it, you're good at it, the world needs it, but you aren't paid.
You're a volunteer. or starving artist. And that's noble, sure, but it's hard to have a reason to wake up when you can't pay for the bed you're sleeping in.
The stress of survival just eats away at the joy of the other circles. So this model argues that financial sustainability allows the other circles to actually thrive.
So the sweet spot, the Ikigai, is right there in the center. But what happens if you have, say, 3 out of 4? Let's say you've got a high-paying job, you're great at it, and it helps people. So paid, good at, world needs, but you hate it. You don't love it.
That is the archetype of the golden cage. You have comfort, status, impact, but you feel empty. That's the midlife crisis just waiting to happen.
Yeah.
You wake up 40 years later and realize you've lived someone else's life.
Oof. Okay, let's flip it. You love it, you're good at it, you get paid, but the world doesn't really need it. Maybe you're selling something useless or even predatory.
That's where you find a deep sense of uselessness or guilt. You might be wealthy and enjoying your day-to-day, but there's a nagging feeling of irrelevance. You know you aren't really contributing.
So the goal isn't just to find your passion, it's to perform this really delicate balancing act. But here's the problem. This all sounds great, but finding that center takes time. And we live in a culture that's just screaming, hustle, faster, optimize.
And that brings us to the second major theme from the research. Speed versus intention. The modern world is obsessed with efficiency. Ikigai is obsessed with alignment. And those two things are often at war.
Yeah, the text contrasted the modern life mindset, do more, earn more, rush more, with the Ikigai mindset. But I mean, telling someone with a job and kids to slow down, it feels a little privileged, doesn't it?
It can sound that way for sure.
Just take your time. Meanwhile, rent is due on the 1st.
I get that, but let's look closer. The slowness here isn't about laziness, it's about presence. You can hustle and still have Ikigai as long as the hustle is intentional. The real danger is the mindless rush, that treadmill feeling.
The sources said a long, happy life is built slowly. What does that actually look like in practice?
It looks like valuing the process over the result. Here's a simple example. Making coffee.
Okay.
The modern approach is to shove a pod in a machine, chug it while checking your email. The goal is just the caffeine. The Ikigai approach is to enjoy the smell of the beans, the sound of the water pouring, the warmth of the mug, that first sip.
But does enjoying my coffee really change my life? I mean, seriously.
It rewires your brain's relationship with time. If you are always rushing to the next thing, you are literally training yourself to be dissatisfied with the current thing. And since your life is just a series of current things,
You end up dissatisfied with your whole life. Wow, that's actually terrifying.
it is. We're training ourselves to be unhappy. And this leads right into the third lesson. Small joy and consistency.
Right, because we think happiness comes from the big wins. The promotion, the wedding, the vacation.
The Instagram moments.
Exactly, the big flashy stuff.
But the data shows those spikes of happiness fade so quickly. It's called hedonic adaptation. You get the raise, you're happy for 2 weeks, and then that just becomes your new normal, and you're bored again.
So if the big wins don't last, what does?
The small, repeated rituals. The source material had a phrase for this. Consistency beats intensity.
Consistency beats intensity. I like that. Unpack it for me.
Well, think about physical health. You can't get in shape by working out for 24 hours straight one time. It doesn't work.
No.
You get in shape by doing it for 30 minutes every day for a year. Happiness works the same way. A peaceful life is built on that baseline of small daily joys. The morning walk, the chat with a friend, watering your plants.
It just sounds so mundane. I think we all want our purpose to be cinematic. We want a movie montage. You're saying purpose is actually found in the boring scenes.
The boring scenes are where 99% of your life actually happens. If you can't find joy there, you won't find it anywhere. There's this related Japanese concept, kodawari, which is the pursuit of perfection in a craft, not for fame, but just for the satisfaction of doing it well.
So it's taking pride in the small things.
Yes. You reclaim your satisfaction from the external world. You stop waiting for a boss to promote you to feel successful. You can feel successful because you made an excellent cup of coffee or wrote a really clear email. You stop waiting to be happy.
Speaking of waiting, let's talk about the ultimate waiting room, retirement. Right.
Dark way to put it, but often accurate for how people see it.
Well, the model is suffer for 40 years, save up, stop working, and then what? Sit on a beach until you die. The sources on Ikigai seem to really hate that idea.
They do. In Okinawa, one of the blue zones where people live the longest,
Mm-hmm.
there isn't really a word for retirement in our Western sense of just stopping.
So they just work forever? That sounds like a nightmare.
Not work in the sense of corporate drudgery. They stay useful. The lesson is never stop being useful.
Useful to whom?
To their community, their family, to themselves. The research is so clear on this. When humans stop feeling needed, our health it declines rapidly. It's use it or lose it applied to the soul.
I've seen that happen. People retire, and 6 months later, they seem to have aged 10 years. They lose that spark.
Because they lost their circle 3, what the world needs. They took themselves out of the equation. Ikigai suggests that instead of retiring, you should shift purpose.
Shift purpose.
Yeah. Maybe you stop being a CEO and you start mentoring. Stop being an accountant and you start running a community garden. The form of your contribution changes, but the fact that you are contributing shouldn't stop.
You want to die with your boots on, so to speak.
Exactly. Engaging with life right up until the end. And this connects directly to longevity. People with a strong Ikigai live longer because they have a reason to get out of bed. If your only reason is a paycheck and the paycheck stops, why get out of bed?
This brings us to the final piece of the puzzle. We have the circles, the speed, consistency, retirement, but none of it works if you aren't actually here for any of it.
The power of presence.
Yeah.
This is probably the hardest lesson of all.
It sounds so simple, just be here. But my brain right now is thinking about what I'm going to say next, what's for dinner, and also an embarrassing thing I said in 2014.
And that is the anti-Ikigai state. We live in the past, which is regret, or the future, which is anxiety. Ikigai exists only in the present. The source material really emphasizes that true happiness, that flow state we mentioned, is impossible if you're distracted.
The example in the notes that stood out to me was about washing dishes, which, let's be honest, I hate doing. How do I find Ikigai in dishwater?
By actually doing it. Usually when we wash dishes, we're rushing to finish so we can go watch TV. We're treating the present moment as an obstacle to get to the future.
Right.
If you just slow down and feel the warm water, the texture of the plate, the soap, if you actually engage with the reality of that moment, it stops being a chore. It becomes a kind of meditation.
It's not that the activity is boring. It's that our resistance to the activity is what makes it feel like suffering.
That's a profound way to put it. Resistance creates suffering. Acceptance creates flow. Whether you're writing code, changing a diaper, or leading a meeting, if you are fully there, you are alive. If you're wishing you were somewhere else, you are literally missing your own life.
And that brings us full circle. We started with the Sunday scaries, that dread of the future. The cure isn't success in the future. The cure is purpose in the present.
It's alignment. It's knowing why you're doing what you're doing and finding joy in the doing of it.
Okay, let's wrap this up with something actionable. We've thrown a lot of philosophy at people. We have the 4 circles: slowness, consistency, presence. For the person listening who just feels totally out of whack, where do they even start?
I would suggest a quick gap analysis.
Oh, we're getting corporate again.
Just for a second. Visualize those 4 circles for your own life. Be brutally honest. Which one is the strongest? Maybe you're nailing the paid and skill part. Great. Now look for the gap. Which one is missing?
Okay, so let's say I realize I'm missing what the world needs. I feel like I'm just moving numbers around on a screen all day.
Then don't quit your job tomorrow. That's the intensity trap. Instead, use the small joy principle. What is one small thing you can do this week to add a little need to your life? Maybe it's mentoring a junior employee. Maybe it's volunteering for 1 hour on a Saturday.
Or maybe you're missing what you love. You're useful and paid, but you're just bored.
Then you need to reintroduce play. Not passive play like TV. Active play. Pick up that guitar again. Start a garden. Just do something to feed that circle.
The key is that you don't have to fix your whole life overnight.
Well,
You just have to nudge the circles a little closer together.
one small, slow step at a time. That's the Ikigai way.
I think that's a perfect place to leave it. Stop chasing the big, dramatic purpose and maybe start building the small, consistent one. Thanks for diving deep with us.
Wake up with a reason. We'll see you next time.